Okay, everyone, Danny sent this voice memo to me after he had finished reading, I think up to chapter 15, and I just wanted to hang on to it till now because there's some spoilers in here because he kind of figured out the whole plot. It's so fascinating. So listen to this voice memo, and then we'll kind of start the podcast from there.
Oh my goodness, I just had an epiphany. So we released an episode of the podcast today, which is the first episode of book 3. And when I was listening to it, I heard John mention that in Diagon Alley, we know Scabbers is missing a finger. And it clicked. I remember talking about that. I remember having a discussion around it and thinking, oh, well, Scabbers is getting more shabby these days. You know, his fur's not looking as luscious as it once was. And later in the book, he starts feeling sick. So it just all made sense. You know, he's missing fingers. He's been through a lot. But now I remember we also know another key piece of information. Peter Pettigrew is missing a finger because his mom only has one thing that they could find of his finger. So what I'm thinking is that Scabbers is Peter Pettigrew. I only remember the whole finger thing with his mom because it felt like a weird thing to get of someone's, a finger, and I know that with a finger you could do a polyjuice potion. So I thought someone could always pretend to be Peter Pettigrew if they got their hands on that finger. Also, it just feels like something you'd add to a potion, like I don't know, like a troll's toe. You know, that seems like a potion ingredient, a human finger, maybe for dark magic or something. So I remembered that, and now it's all clicking. Still wasn't enough information. But then I remembered Scabbers is 13 years old. That was in my head. We talked about it, but hearing it again, I think the timing, I didn't really think about that. 13 years, that's when everything went down with Sirius Black and with Voldemort and Harry, because Harry is 14 years old now. I think he was 11, right, when he started at Hogwarts. Now he's a third year in the third book. So 13 years ago, that's when everything happened with Peter Pettigrew. So I think Peter Pettigrew turned into a rat, Scabbers, 13 years ago when he was fighting with, I guess, Sirius Black. And then he went to go live with the Weasleys where he's been for 13 years. I don't exactly know why, and that's kind of creepy, but that's where I'm at right now. I can't figure out how this plays into things with Crookshanks, or maybe the dog that we thought was the Grim could still be James Potter. And I'm a little confused why Crookshanks is attacking Scabbers, unless Crookshanks really is Sirius Black, and Sirius is trying to attack Scabbers and finish the fight with Peter Pettigrew that he never got to finish. Ooh, that actually might make sense. Oh, man. I don't know. But I love it because now I'm going to be reading with that theory in mind. And this theory is not just randomly out there. Like, it feels like this evidence is substantial in my mind. So I'm getting pretty psyched on this theory right now.
I don't want you guys to do this a ton, but for certain chapters, if we get through them, especially in coming chapters, I should have done this more in book 3, but because like we have 5 chapter chunks, so there's sections where I want your opinions, but we're not going to be able to record before this certain point. So like after chapter 8, when they said it's Sirius Black, you guys, I want to like give me a voice memo, even real quick, of what your thoughts are on the end of this chapter, because I want that too, like the thrills of.
Like in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment.
Yeah.
This is about me and my reading experience.
You basically just want us to read with all you all the time. Like,
But you're right.
To be right here reading.
Yeah.
Because it does make good
best.
like extra B-roll for filling in
Yes.
details and whatever intros.
Yes, exactly.
I also did bring my wand collection. Yes! If anyone wants to take a look at a wand.
Let's see it.
See the box that you won't do the name of.
Oh, they have boxes. Oh my gosh.
This one's the Harry Potter wand. Oh wait, no, it's not. I misread it.
Lies.
Sirius Black.
Oh, serious. Guys, I also have chocolate covered pretzels. We're going to ward away the Dementors with some pretzels. I love that they're all in their boxes
Okay,
too.
I did put them in the right order so that I couldn't see because I put this one in backwards. The name is facing out. Don't let Jen see. I don't even want to see it. This is the one that I don't know yet, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know.
So just don't let us see that side of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. I'm pretty sure I don't know that person yet.
No.
No, you don't.
Initially, when you said it started with an R. I knew it was
Oh,
two
was I right?
people. No,
Maybe I don't even remember.
I thought you were
could
gonna
be
say.
wrong.
I thought it was
My
gonna be
gosh,
Remus Lupin
this
because it said an
feels
R.
like-
Oh, okay.
Actually, I think I thought
Wait,
this.
whose is this?
So wait,
Maybe
That's
not.
Sirius's.
Maybe a lie.
How did he get his wand back?
Well,
I don't
so
want to know.
a bunch of these wands I
Really?
got.
Hey, they
It's
don't
like
destroy
Sirius.
it when you go to Azkaban.
Whoa, yo, this is legit. I was gonna say they're legit. Like
Yeah, feel this
This is
thing.
like-
Oh, I forgot. Let me.
Oh, I wish I had that
Oh
one when
my
I said that. I was like,
gosh.
oh, this is serious. Except it's not serious.
Sirius's wand is so cool.
Yeah, but how do you
Yeah,
get
this
it
is,
back?
like, legit.
I don't know.
Didn't
That's
Azkaban
serious.
like
I feel like
confiscate it?
Azkaban has like little safety deposit boxes that when you get
And then you-
released from Azkaban, you probably go
Yeah.
into like a little chamber, get your stuff back.
It
That's
must
what I
be
guess,
kind of
right?
rare that people get released from Azkaban, though.
Yeah,
it feels
yeah.
like the kind of place you go
Yeah.
with a death sentence.
Sorry.
Like Hagrid must have been one of the first.
I'm not gonna lie, this
Harry's
Sirius
wand?
Black wand is so freaking cool. It's got like runes on the handle.
This is the one I
That
didn't know
one's,
whose it was, but I should have just
really
read the
cool.
side like a normal person. It's
That's what
Hermione's
that's-
wand. But it looks so yellow. It looks weird.
Why is it yellow?
I feel like this is a fake, like, lame one. Like, this doesn't feel legit. These are the ones you get at Universal. But this one
Oh,
is
really?
just like, I don't know what this is. Something
Yellow.
random. Yeah, but this is so bizarre. Why is this thing yellow?
Wait, what is? Whose is?
But I don't know what color her wand's supposed to be, but
Ew.
I'm going to look in the movie and just repaint this the right
This
color.
I'm not
feels
the biggest
like
fan of
it.
this. For anybody listening, this is Anna who has read all the books. There's another character, 5 letters, first name starts with an R. You know who it is, I'm sure. If you've read the books, he doesn't have a great wand, unfortunately.
This is ridiculous. Look at this.
That's one of my favorites. I love that.
Who do you think? Whose is it?
Yeah.
Isn't that a sweet wand? The handle of this wand is like
But why, yeah, why is the handle like that?
exquisite.
But it feels great because it feels like you'd be a little
Yeah,
extra
this-
protected
Yeah.
against an Expelliarmus. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
yeah, like
you
it,
might as well
it
have it's
hooks
almost
in.
tethered to you, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
You need to get
That one's really
Hermione's
cool.
real one.
yeah, I probably do.
Yeah.
But because I'm getting these on auction websites, like that wand I only got because I got
Oh my goodness, there's a
the cursed
crack in
child, and that
Voldemort's
came with it.
wand.
No, really?
Wait, what?
What is it? There's an actual. is it
There's
the
a little
same as Harry's
crack.
little-
In Voldemort's wand.
Oh boy. It's not a crack in my wand, it's a crack in his because it's a flaw in his real wand that's going to come up later.
That's why I was like, that's an intentional. That's why I freaked out. Like,
Hold on, this one goes into that wand. Sorry.
this one is that.
What?
Oh, because
No,
that goes in with
that's what-
Voldemort's.
that goes-
Danny, these are really cool.
Yeah, these are.
Aren't they pretty cool? When I felt the boxes, I was like, oh, maybe they're going to be too light and they won't feel cool. But then once I actually picked them up, I was like, oh, they do feel kind of substantial.
Yeah,
No,
I picked it up in
those
the
are
box.
cool.
And I think at least one of these at Universal, you can like point it at stuff and make
Huh.
water shoot out and like you can interact
That's
with
Yeah.
the
lame.
world.
They have one where you can
Yeah.
shoot fire at people now. It's like a little magician
saw
thing.
that. I was gonna save it. I saw that
So
I saw it on
cool.
Instagram, yeah.
Harry's is legit too.
Yeah.
Harry's
Does it have the same hand? No, it's
it does
different
not
wood.
look like this in the movies.
It's different wood
Mm.
though.
Careful with this
I
one.
want, yeah, they definitely didn't make
They
it
just
with
had
like
the same
that's
Well,
not this is
phoenix
actual wood.
feather.
I saw somewhere that
Who didn't get this?
JK made it a rule that they could not make it out of wood. She had some going green initiative. She said like they should not do it out of wood because
What?
it's bad for the forests and blah blah blah.
They would have cut
I
down
don't know
every
why
single tree in the
Plastic
universe.
is better than wood, but
Did you want to see? It's not as
This
good.
is Hermione's?
well, it's supposed to be, but it's some like cheap knockoff version.
But why is
This
it
is
yellow?
like wax. Yeah, come on.
It's not supposed to be yellow, right?
This would actually be sweet if
doubt
it
it.
wasn't yellow.
Yeah, that's why I'll repaint it whenever I figure out what color it's supposed to be.
I wonder
Why-
if someone
no,
painted
just get
over
the
this
real
or
one.
something.
Well, if it comes up on an auction site, sure. Now that I know what it looks like.
I'm gonna start auctioning for wands. These are awesome. I am such a fan of these.
This is Harry's.
I like Harry's. Harry's
Yeah.
in the movie is trash. So
Right?
boring.
It's so boring.
That's very
This
interesting.
is so interesting. I actually like Voldemort's.
I know Voldemort's
Yeah,
wand
that
is.
one's really cool. Yeah, this
dope.
color is just ugly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sirius. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Sirius
weird
is- I'm a
that
fan of
Harry's
Sirius.
and Voldemort's
Fine.
don't look that similar.
That's
It's just
what
that
I
the
thought they
Phoenix
would.
core is
That's what
Yeah.
I thought.
the
That's
same,
what
but
I
the
was
wand
They're
itself is
different
totally
woods.
different. Yeah.
I kind of like that, but I do wish they looked somewhat similar. Like they don't look anything at all alike. So I wish they kind of looked a little bit alike, so that you got kind of a flavor of
I do like this one.
the twin cores.
Ugly.
I love like the weight of the real ones. I don't like just
The
feels
real
good in your
ones.
hand. I saw something
Did it
on.
choose you?
At
I saw
home
some-
holding the wand.
I saw something on TikTok this morning. It made me laugh so much because I'm watching the Rings of Power series right now, which is great.
yeah.
Love it so much. Some people hate it, and I love it so
My
much. I think it's
brother's
great.
watching it.
I'm a little skeptical, but
Yeah,
so far so
some
good.
like small little things I got issues with, but so far so good. And there was one where it was like a TikTok video of someone was like, "You need to have a knife under your mattress in case someone invades at night," and it was someone like duetting that, and they literally pull out Aragorn's full sword out of underneath their mattress and they hold it up in the mirror. Like it's the coolest sword I think in all of movie lore. It's like my favorite sword. This
I don't think.
Narsil. Oh, it's the best. I
Is
want
that-
one. And so
Wait,
I looked it up on
oh.
Amazon and it was $250 and I was like, should I?
Did you?
No. I probably will one of these days, but right now, no.
How big is it?
I give
It's
it
a
2
full
weeks.
size. It's legit. Yeah. It's legit. It has to be like
Or he's gonna
gotta
have a
be like a
tattoo of it.
4 foot sword. It is
You
huge.
should hang it like right up here.
It's such a good idea.
Oh
Just
wait,
a
at the
weapons
That's
wall.
top.
a great idea.
Instead of my gallery wall, we have Narsil. We have all these wands right there.
Swords,
Yes.
Like, when people come here for counseling or anything, you just be like,
This is my wall.
That's my weapons wall.
Are you sure you want to stay?
Oh, that'd be so cool. That would actually be awesome.
That would look really cool up there.
Kind of would.
Yeah, it would.
That would be
Yeah,
amazing.
no,
I don't know if I should
think you
encourage
I'm gonna
that.
start doing that, guys. Thank you.
I
All right.
think you should heavily-
I should do it like no. I should like hide them around the office, like in the office, Dwight.
Dwight.
Yeah. Yes, like the blow gun in the toilet. I'll just hide them around the office. Someone's gonna like be in here and they're gonna be hanging out and they're like, that
Is that a wand?
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah.
sword?
is he?
Is that a
Is the thing he's
sword?
writing with? Is that a wand?
No quill pen for you. Wand pen.
That'd be so great. Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
Did you get any content?
welcome to the podcast. I'm John,
Jen.
Danny.
And Kristen.
and this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Our intros are getting so much longer than I was initially planning for. There's so much fun stuff to talk about, and our group is getting more rambly too, which I love because we're just talking about more and more in all these chapters, and we're not really worried so much about time constraints because we can kind of just talk about whatever is happening for a long, long time. It is so much fun. Join our subreddit where we are discussing a lot of stuff. We're going to start talking about Goblet of Fire. So this next upcoming week, I'm going to release maybe 2 up until the end of the book podcasts, and then maybe we'll do the movie toward the end of the week too. We'll just cram in podcasts so that we can get caught up. The podcast can get caught up to our reading because we haven't even started Goblet of Fire yet. And that is where things get really tense, and we're really excited to actually start that book. But we haven't gotten there yet because we haven't recorded the last few chapters of book 3, and we haven't watched the movie yet. Join us on subreddit. Again, we are talking about all things Goblet of Fire, and we're going to be talking about that for the next few weeks because it's going to take us a few weeks to read that. So we're very excited for that. Give us a rating and review as always. I really am so grateful. All of us are so grateful whenever you guys talk to us on Reddit and whenever you guys leave ratings and reviews. Our whole crew is so grateful for you as listeners. We are just unbelievably thankful, and we are giddy with excitement anytime you guys talk about how much you like the podcast or anything like that. So keep doing that. It makes us so happy, and it makes this podcast even better. But enjoy these next few chapters, chapters 18 to 20 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
By the way, the cover of this is exactly the story. You guys suck.
I was going to say no.
It had to be done.
Like, yeah, I feel like you need to take the book covers off.
No, I like it. I like to guess. I'm like, okay, what is this going to mean? What's that going to mean? It literally has everything. It even has the Whomping Tree with Crookshanks and the dog.
Oh, it does?
That's like half the plot in there.
Yeah, that is insane.
But you would never
But you would never
know.
guess it.
But no one would know.
Yeah,
that if they
true,
read it.
but
Yeah, but by the time you get to a certain point, you will.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't.
when I first saw it, I was like, Buckbeak. And even when Buckbeak was being killed,
It's
I was
fun.
like, one of the other ones maybe.
Yeah.
And then we just,
John
he's
lied
flying
to
around
me.
Hogwarts. So I'm like, Harry is on one of these hippogriffs, flying around Hogwarts at some point
Like,
for something.
How does your brain work?
Say,
I
my
never
brain
would have
would
put that together.
Well,
I just don't-
I'm taking all my covers off.
Yeah.
I have accidentally looked at the picture at the beginning of the chapters so many times, but I can do that. That's only one chapter, mini spoiler, little hint.
Yeah, and he's there, Sirius Black, in the window.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I never picked up on
Which
that.
we didn't know that it was him.
yeah.
But then
Looking-
during
I
one of
knew
the
it
chapter
was
pictures,
him.
you
No,
kind
I
of
know.
know
I
it
knew
is.
it was him.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing.
So that's why they're too much. They're too much.
Okay. We are on to chapter 18. It's been a few days since we probably finished some of these chapters, but can you guys give me a quick summary of these chapters? This one is Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. And also, we have people on Reddit joking around with us that we thought Messers was a fifth person of a map maker.
Oops.
And it wasn't just a British term for people.
We're learning a lot of British stuff.
I
Our
just
British
learned that now.
contingent
Yep.
on a subreddit.
Well, right now we have a different. The Queen passed.
I know.
too.
Oh,
Today
yeah.
is August 8th, so we are sorry to our Brits. The Queen's passing.
Yeah.
End of an era.
End of an era.
Yeah.
We have Harry Potter to talk about. We'll do it in her honor today.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, yes.
Okay, give me a summary. Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. Also, this is just a complete side note too. I almost spoiled this in one of the podcasts because I had a slip up. I said it wasn't necessarily a slip up. I realized after, but I was in a panic as soon as I said it. Instead of saying Lupin's name, I said Looney. I really meant Moony, but what's his name? Peeves calls Lupin Looney in the book. So I said Looney once, and I was like, shoot. If they put something like this together where they thought I was like, you know what? I feel like Danny's going home right now. You know what? Looney sounds like Mooney. John gave an inadvertence, and I edited it out of the last
And why would they
podcast because
call
I
him
couldn't do it. I
Mooney?
was so embarrassed. I was
Wow,
like, I
that's
can't
so
do
funny.
this.
I don't catch any of
I
this.
don't remember that.
A lot of times I won't catch things in the moment, but I'll catch little things when I
Yeah.
listen to a released podcast. But it's rare that would happen before we're done with the book, I guess, or
yeah.
before things are revealed.
Yeah.
But it kind of almost happened on this one because that's when I figured out who Peter Pettigrew was.
Because I was saying all sorts of stuff about that. We had like a 10-minute discussion on rats.
Yeah. And when I heard it said that he was missing a finger, I was like,
Yeah.
it's all coming together.
Yeah.
So,
all
I freaked
coming
out.
back.
Again,
to me
to me,
now.
that's the fun part of this podcast is because you won't notice that until you re-listen to the podcast.
Yeah,
so like
that's
Yeah.
it comes out
seriously
3
what
weeks.
happened.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
that's
listen
why
to it, you're like,
it must be great to read even these books a second time because you pick up on all these subtle things
Yeah.
you never would pick up on a
Season
second
two.
time.
For
Season
the
2,
10th
reread. Or the 10th time. We will be doing 10 seasons of this. It'll be our 10th.
Oh, goodness gracious. We're going to be like 100.
Yeah. Whoa, 100.
10 years.
If it were
Guys.
up to you, you'd be doing it for the rest of your life.
Only gonna be like only gonna be 40 when it comes out, guys. We're all
Hey,
in our 30s.
nice.
Oh, no, I was... Whatever.
So the summary for this chapter is the Lupin monologue. He just explains everything to Harry, Ron, and Hermione from his perspective. We learned a lot, and then at the end of the chapter, it's when Snape shows up to the Shrieking Shack.
Yes.
So a short chapter, though.
Yeah, very short chapter. These next 3 chapters are pretty short chapters. Shorter than most of the other ones in the series. All the ones in the series are around, depends on what book you have, but around 20 pages. And these are like 8, 10 pages. But this one, there's a lot of interesting quotes in here. And this is like an information download of a chapter. And it starts off with Lupin saying this. They've got a right to know everything, Lupin panted, still trying to restrain Black. Ron kept him as a pet. There are parts of it even I don't understand. And Harry, you owe Harry the truth, Sirius. Black stopped struggling. though his hallowed eyes were still fixed on Scabbers, who was clamped tightly under Ron's bitten, scratched, and bleeding hands. All right then, said Black, without taking his eyes off the rat. Tell them whatever you like, but make it quick, Remus. I want to commit the murder I was imprisoned for. This is a weird question, but who do you think is actually right here? Lupin for waiting or Black wanting to kill Peter first?
Lupin's right.
Why?
Well, because it seems to me like I don't trust them at all right here. Even where we're reading now, I'm not fully sold because this was such a sketchy approach from Black. And even Harry thought the same thing. Like, you don't just kill people, especially when he is kind of the only piece of evidence that they're telling the truth. So to me, Dumbledore needs to be the one to decide what happens because I think of him as being just. So in my mind, it's like nobody takes action at this point, especially things like killing someone, things that cannot be undone, without everyone being on the same page. So the fact that Sirius Black wants to just commit murder, I'm like, I get it a little bit, but in this moment, I was like, no way. Absolutely not.
It is kind of like, just have patience for another 5 minutes. But I do get it on his point. The only thing with him, too, is that this is the first time he's actually found him. Like, he's been trying to hatch plots to get Peter, to get Scabbers for months and months and months. And he's been around Hogwarts for a while, but he hasn't been able to get him. And finally, he has him. So he's like, I just want to do this, get it done before anything else happens. So I kind of get his point, but you also are like, just wait 5 minutes.
I was also thinking, though, you know how he spent a lot of time as a dog in Azkaban?
Yeah.
And animals, when they get like zeroed in on something, they zero in on it. So I was like, I kind of can understand where he's coming from because he was an animal for so long, you know? So it's almost like he's zeroed in on like revenge.
His animal instincts.
And so, yeah. So it's like, that's how I took it because he was like crazed.
That is a great point.
Yeah. I didn't even think that way.
What did you think, Jen, at this point? Did you...
It's like, what should have came first? They have killed Peter and then explain the story, or should they explain the story?
Lupin, I like to explain the story, get everything out there, because there's still so many unanswered questions before you go killing people. I agree with you, Danny. But I like what you were saying.
I mean, I agree with what Danny was saying, but
that's a good approach.
Coming from,
and also I think in the rest of the chapters, we just see things change so many times where like the power changes between all of these people, because at some point isn't Harry the one with the wands and he's pointing the wand at Sirius Black, and then that's after Snape came in. So like it kind of shifts from who's in control. First it's Black, then Lupin comes in, it's him, then it's Snape, then it's Harry, and then it's back to somebody else, or maybe that's when Lupin hands the wands back. Like it was just like it switched so many times. I could also see from Black's perspective where he's saying, now is the chance. We can take it right now before another crazy thing happens, and throws it all off. And we still don't know how the book ends. So, I get it, but it was frustrating in this moment because I still did not trust Black.
Yeah.
I find it interesting, it's going back a little bit, that Scabbers, Peter Pettigrew, would be so willing to be photographed so easily in that, like, when they went on their trip to Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you're hiding, why are you going to be in the front cover of... Or maybe you just figured, it's been this long. Who cares?
But maybe even to your point, he's been a rat for so long. Maybe like it was something that rats are stupid. Maybe he just forgot about it for the time being, or he just had his animal instincts. Rats are smart.
Yeah,
and then people aren't usually getting newspapers in Azkaban. That was a major fluke because Fudge, it was I think, who went to visit Sirius Black.
Oh yeah.
And even that, why did he?
The stars aligned.
Yeah, like that was a total fluke.
Yeah, he just went as a routine checkup for Azkaban.
Or something Dumbledore orchestrated.
Yeah. No, but
Dumbledore.
What? Wait, but maybe not Dumbledore, but what are the chances? The Ministry of Magic? Or wait, who organized this thing? We were kind of joking and theorizing that the Ministry of Magic was behind it because they gave the Weasleys so much grief in the previous book that they gave them a little money, you won, hooray. And then it's in the Daily Prophet. But then for Fudge to be the one who actually brings the newspaper and then leaves it behind for Sirius Black, It almost sounds suspicious now that I'm saying it all back to back. But
one thing that I love too is that each book does have its own unique flavor for like what the theme of the book is, and I think one good one for this one is fate versus, I guess, choice. And this whole book reeks of it. Like they go to divination class. Like how the heck Sirius Black got that newspaper on that day? He's never gotten a newspaper his entire life, and the one day he gets it is when he sees the picture of Ron and his family in there. So it's like this is destined to happen. But then again, in this moment, they're making a conscious choice. It's not like we're here. Everything led up to this point. It's like he had to work hard for it. He had to get there. He had to like hatch this whole plot, and he's like wait a little bit longer. So they're making a conscious choice to do this. And even like how some of this ends, because we know these chapters that Scabbers escapes. It's like very much directed at what is like happening here. Is it the result of their choices, or is it the result of just everything working together because of fate and because of determination? I don't know. We'll see.
But I like when you're saying that out loud, it makes me think it goes deeper.
Like in a future book, we'll find out there was more to this.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we have a few more to go.
There's even another point to your question. Peter didn't why did he get photographed? And another one, why didn't he try to escape earlier on? Like as soon as he saw Sirius, or as soon as he knew Sirius was about to escape from Azkaban, he was in a weird mood the entire time. Why didn't he
started
escape?
Losing hair and losing weight.
Yeah.
It
Like
was sick.
Why did he not even escape before Sirius was gone from prison? Like,
well,
I guess
how
he has
else
a
would he
cushy
get
life.
intel?
Yeah, it's true.
If he ran away too soon, he wouldn't know what's going on.
And maybe he also viewed Harry as being a very safe spot to be.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, that's almost giving him too much credit. He'd be like pretty smart to think that way, but like thinking that at least most people assume he's after Harry. And in some ways he was. So being around the person that they're all trying to protect might be a good spot. Hogwarts is the safest place.
True.
Maybe. But also I'm thinking, oh wait, when does that come out with the Marauders map? I don't know if that's in this chapter or if it happens right after the chapter we read here. But like he's thinking whatever spells are involved in making a map that tracks everyone, he also might think that Sirius Black could do those things again, like conjure those spells or make a map that could track him anywhere in the world. So maybe it wouldn't matter where he went. He'd rather be with people that could protect him, or people like Ron, than out there on his own in the woods. If he thinks Sirius Black has Marauder map tracking capabilities.
Yeah.
But Scabbers went to the Weasleys on purpose, right? Is that because he wanted, or that was just a coincidence? Because he worked, like the dad works for whatever.
The Ministry of Magic.
Yeah. So then I thought he was trying to keep track of things that were going on to see if like anyone would be looking into him, like discovering that he's not dead.
Yeah. I don't think that these chapters answer that question that much, unless you guys saw something in there that was an answer. I think a lot of it probably leads to that idea that he went maybe to the Weasleys to try to be more of a spy, but I think his character and his nature is one that he just wants to survive. He'll go anywhere to survive. And maybe he saw the Weasleys were good with pets and they let gnomes run around in the gardens, and he's like, that looks like a good place for me, so I'm going to survive there. And then, because there's even the questions, I mean, in the second book, Chamber of Secrets, like if Peter goes down into the pipes, he'll get eaten by a snake. So maybe he has good reason to not do that, not to show himself and realign himself with his master there. But what about the first book when like Quirrell comes and there's this whole thing? I guess he didn't really know until the very end. So like he doesn't necessarily know, but he could have had other occurrences where he could have won off. And if he was really a good spy, if he was really trying to like serve his master well, he would have gone off earlier. I think right now he doesn't care about that because he just wants to go to the person who can keep him safe. And at that moment, it was the Weasleys for 12 years. Like before that, it was James, Sirius, and Lupin. Then it went to Voldemort because Voldemort was more powerful than them. And then it was no one, so he went into rat mode.
And he even bit Goyle's finger.
I know.
He even stood up for Ron.
I know.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
he's not all bad.
I don't know. But then when they were the animals and
Animagus.
animagus, they're still able to think like their human self, or the animal instincts might chime in stronger.
They mentioned that a little bit for how he escaped. He has more of his animal instincts, I think, but you still are able to think as a human. I wonder if the longer it goes on, the longer you are an animagus, the less human you might become. Maybe.
Then I'm like, can he? Because he would never transform into a human form, obviously. But...
Yeah. Imagine that every night he like transforms real quick to stretch out, and then Ron wakes up one night.
Yeah.
That's
like
terrifying.
a man laying across his bed. Oh, goodness. Wait, in the movies, Ron turned him into a teacup.
I know, exactly.
That's kind of bizarre. Like, imagine that you just get turned into a teacup for a moment, just like boom.
I wonder if he like thought he was dead.
And and what if
like
one of those random spells just like went wrong, and the spell might have worked fine on a rat, but not a person like pretending to be a rat. So I'm just thinking how many times it could have gone south real fast.
Oh, yeah, man. Seriously.
That was just Ron. What about his siblings?
Yeah, right.
Practice with him.
Like literally the first bit of magic that we see in the movies
stayed.
is him trying to turn Scabbers yellow.
yeah, right.
Ridiculous.
This rat's been through the ringer.
I know.
Maybe that's why it didn't work. It would have worked on a regular rat.
Yeah, maybe. But to the animagus point, I want to ask this again because I feel like a fly might not be a sufficient answer. But if you could be an animagus, if you had to go through the entire process, again, you don't have much of a choice in what you become. So let's actually do this exercise. Let's pick each other's animals of what you would become as an animagus for each other. What would we become?
John would become. Is that right? You want us to get? Yeah. I feel like an owl.
Someone once told me a meerkat.
A meerkat?
Which kind of makes sense.
I feel like Wes. You guys would just swap bodies. I feel like you would be some kind of feline animal.
I can see that.
Like a jaguar or like a panther.
I'll take that. I was like, well, I guess I'm sassy. Cat.
I'm not like smart, quiet. You come in at the right moment.
Oh, wow, you're giving me a lot of credit here.
Don't mess with her.
True.
She'll attack you. Danny.
I feel like just because you have a lot of theories and you like sniff stuff out, give me like a bloodhound or something.
Nice.
And then Jenn would be a horse, obviously.
It has to be.
Obviously.
Or like I was saying, like a hare or like a bunny.
What?
Like a hare or a bunny.
Me?
Yeah.
What does that mean, though? I want an explanation behind it. It's either a horse, obviously, or a hare. But like, why?
Me and my college friends were doing this once, and we were all like chilling, and there's 5 of us in a room. We were about to fall asleep, but we were going over what our spirit animals were, and one of us was like, "Mark would be a possum." And all of us unanimously were like, "Yes!" And we all died laughing. He's like, "What the heck? Why would I be a possum?"
The last thing you'd want to be.
That's great.
Oh my.
Ugly looking things. I'm bad at this game.
That's
I'll think
really
of answers
funny.
tomorrow.
Yeah, text the group chat later.
If you could become one, like if you had a choice in the matter, what would you want to be? Still a fly? How about like a beetle?
Ugh.
Like, or like,
like
a
the
dragonfly.
elephant beetle, like the pushes the poop.
Pushes poop. The dung beetle.
Yeah, that's
rolls it around.
Are you saying this all to me?
Yeah, you want it to be a fly.
I don't want to like be
upgrading
an insect. I just wanted information. John.
It's all about the practical. Yeah.
A rhinoceros.
What?
Explain.
A rhinoceros beetle?
No.
Why are you stuck on the Beatles?
Because she's just saying rhinoceros. Who's going to be a rhinoceros? You would want to be a rhinoceros?
You're going to be a rhino.
Why?
I don't know. That was your answer to mine.
I still think I would want to be
something
something
powerful.
that flies.
Yeah, flying would be just so great.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Eagle.
Like an owl, yeah. Someone on Reddit
A thunderbird.
said, if we were looking at it from the perspective, then I'd be, they said they'd be a Nablung cat, according to the Wizarding World. But they said if they had to choose, they'd be something that could fly, maybe like an eagle or a hippogriff. And he said he'd want to swim, or she, so maybe a shark. I don't want to be an animal that can either fly or swim underwater.
Mm-hmm.
I want to fly so I can travel faster places and swim because I love the water. I would definitely not want to be something that could swim because you're limited to a body of water, and I hate the ocean. The ocean terrifies me more than anything
And there are
else.
things
Yeah,
that
would
would try
not-
and kill you as soon as you go under. You
and
know
if we're
what
talking
I mean?
about Loch Ness, like
Ugh.
if Hogwarts is on Loch Ness, no way. Nessie, the squid, that thing's gonna eat you.
Ooh.
Yeah, no. Not
A
underwater.
hippogriff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that answer. Or a griffin. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ferocious things. Yeah.
If we're going to talk about magical creatures.
I was gonna say, I thought we were like talking.
Yeah, I feel like they
Real
might be
animals.
off limits, but who knows what we're gonna see
Then
in later
unicorn
books.
back at.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys saw this. You guys mentioned this too. I think for your Patronus, there's certain magical animals that you can get. Most people get non-magical animals, but you can get. There's a select few people that have like a magical animal as their Patronus.
What?
Like, yeah, we don't know everyone's Patronuses yet, but some
I
people
know
have
mine.
magical ones.
Cool.
Did we tell each other them?
Yeah. When did we mention that?
Didn't we?
Did we all
Was
say
that-
it together?
I think so.
Does Danny
Yeah,
know?
I think we
all
did.
took the
So?
test together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
So
right.
do you know
Yeah,
who
and I
has
was
a
cat.
phoenix as a Patronus?
No, because I don't think
You
we.
were a phoenix?
No. Do you know if anybody in the books has a phoenix?
No,
as a
we don't know
Patronus?
anyone's in the books yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't even really know Lupin's. Did he have to do one? No, because
No, he
it
didn't,
turned
yeah.
into an orb as soon as it was.
It was
Yeah.
a moon,
Bogart
not
was
an
saying.
orb.
Well, now we know that.
It was a moon, not an
But
orb. Get it right.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry. Disgust.
Excuse me.
I wonder if Lupin's turns into like a
Harry
werewolf.
Potter police over here.
Yes.
How about this one? There's a few other issues that we have with this. Lupin talks about this. He says it seemed impossible that I would be able to come to Hogwarts. Other parents weren't likely to want their children exposed to me, but then Dumbledore became headmaster, and he was sympathetic. Was Dumbledore right to let Lupin come to school?
He's always
Apparently-
right.
So,
He's always right. That's been your answer throughout this.
I'm not fully convinced.
That has been my answer because he's like in charge. He's the headmaster and everyone loves him and wants to go by his ways.
But
Is he corrupt?
Okay, wait. Here's the thing I'm wondering about werewolf stuff. When they walk out of the Whomping Willow, the clouds part, the moon comes through, then he transforms. So, like, is it the moonlight directly or just that time?
it's got to be the moonlight. I was thinking of that too.
Because, like, couldn't he just
Yeah.
be in a dungeon somewhere in, like, the basement? Like, hey, stay in, like,
Mm.
this whole section of the grounds, like, and don't come out. You don't have to go to the Shrieking Shack. Just don't come out. And then even, well, the moon can be up during the day, but, like, I guess, yeah, couldn't he just hide for a little bit, not actually have to run away and turn into a werewolf?
The timing was just so great
Or
in
terrible.
this chapter.
Yeah.
I guess for this one, it just had to be the timing. Like maybe the moon had just popped over like the cloud on the horizon, and they realized it or something.
Yep.
Because it couldn't be just moonlight. I don't know.
But then that means he had to drink the potion. He literally has to drink the potion that day, that hour or whatever. Like whatever he
But
drank
even
before
then,
did
the
nothing.
potion only makes it a less extreme reaction, but it's still,
Oh,
he still
'cause
turns
would
into a wolf.
disappear.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
right.
like it's still
Yeah.
pretty bad. Just not as bad as it would be otherwise.
Do you think that Dumbledore made the right decision to not even just let him come teach, but to let him be a student at Hogwarts?
Yeah.
I think so. I feel like
Yeah.
Dumbledore had a couple different plans of how it could work out. Even if the Shrieking Shack came up later, it worked out. He made it through. He was a student and he graduated. He's
That's
a good
pretty
wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good teacher.
Just because you have one mistake as a kid or something, like a deformity, doesn't mean you can't do everything else.
For sure. Agreed with that. At the same point,
he can eat everyone.
He can eat everyone. yeah. Right.
He can eat everyone.
Like, I get that. Lupin is a victim of an unfortunate crime. He got bit when he was younger. He had no choice in the matter. Like, it sucks. At the same point, he transforms into a werewolf once a month. And if something goes wrong, like it almost did, like Snape could have been dead because of this. Because he had stupid friends like James who was trying to mess with him. But
Snape shouldn't have been wandering around either.
There also, I feel like there should be a point to, I like that Dumbledore let him onto campus. I think that was a great decision by him, but there should have been something like Dumbledore chaperones him for that few days, like the full moon right before. Like, come to my office, I will put you in like,
but maybe
terrifying,
he was.
like put you in like a cage or something.
Well, literally,
he's
right?
all-knowing.
Like a cage or
some
so he's watching him all the time. Like
makes you think
Dumbledore.
Yeah, Dumbledore has some kind of Marauders map. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I love. Never mind.
Danny just noted that. Catalog for later.
He can't. So I'll just say this.
He's gonna change.
No, he can't. Dumbledore is too wise that if Dumbledore had a Marauders map and he saw Peter Pettigrew on it, Dumbledore would have immediately known that something was wrong. So maybe this is because Dumbledore is orchestrating this whole thing and it's taking a year long to like actually perform this. But the first year that Harry goes on campus with Ron and Scabbers, Dumbledore looks at his Marauders map and sees this and realizes that Scabbers is really Peter Pettigrew. Well, he's not going to let that sit for 2 years.
Also, it would have been other siblings.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was a passed down.
Ron's like one of the youngest.
So that's just the Nick's Dumbledore probably doesn't have a Marauders map. But I feel like he would have the ability to create one. You're curious why he doesn't. I guess he values privacy maybe for himself too. This Marauders map is insanely powerful. Like you have to, the how they created this, I would love to know the process of creating this because it is a massive invasion of privacy.
But we also know they're incredibly dedicated to things because they did all the animagus thing.
That's true.
And that took a while for them. It took them 5 years to figure that out. And then there's another one. Why does Hogwarts have such a ragtag bunch of teachers? Like they have good ones. McGonagall is a great Transfiguration teacher. Lupin's a great Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. But why'd they hire Quirrell? Why'd they hire Lockhart? Why is Trelawney still a professor? Like Snape is out here abusing students.
True.
Like why do they have such
spot?
Yeah.
And what's her face and with the Quidditch stuff?
Yeah, Hooch, most incompetent person of all time.
She's the worst.
Like literally cannot do anything correctly, and she still has a job at Hogwarts. You think Hogwarts is tight knit about that stuff, but they're not. Dumbledore lets on very strange people onto his teaching staff. Why do you think that is?
Gives them a second chance.
And I feel like wizards were the strange people in the world for a long, long time. And so now there's a certain role Hogwarts has to play. You know, like we have always been the outcasts in society, so there will be no outcasts at Hogwarts. You know, like we're going to come together. And even someone like Trelawney, like she's nuts. But there were some students who were going there every day at lunch that really bonded with her.
Yeah.
So maybe those students were not bonding with any other teachers, and they're thinking all these other teachers are lame because they're just so traditional and blah, blah, blah. But they go up and they're like, this weirdo is just like me. And that's their person.
Aww.
So we didn't get to see that side of Quirrell or Lockhart, but like maybe they had their weirdos too.
Yeah.
I'm curious if someone's going into Professor Bin's office every lunch and just gaining whatever he says about it, just waiting on his every single word. That'd be me.
I was going to say that, but I said it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I do like that idea with Hogwarts, and especially Dumbledore.
Could Dumbledore have had a second chance? And maybe that's why he gives other people second chances.
You don't know Dumbledore's backstory really yet, but maybe you will get it.
Will we?
I don't know.
Oh, I think
maybe.
so.
What do you think, if you had to come up with some kind of Dumbledore's backstory, what do you think it would be?
He's really old.
I feel like he might have been an orphan too.
Nice. That'd be a good start.
Yeah.
But how old was he when he became an orphan? And did he have a long battle with the person who killed his parents?
No, I didn't
years
say
and years.
exactly Harry. He's Harry Potter in the future.
Whoa! Oh my goodness. That's why he's so at peace with everything.
He's like, I already know what's
I have to
At
happening.
the
say-
end of book 7,
that would be
Harry
so great.
goes back in time, but accidentally goes back 1,000 years, and he just slowly waits for his own birth. Oh my goodness.
I have to say, I don't know if I should say this yet. There is a fan theory.
To say.
This isn't really any spoilers because of how outlandish this fan theory is, but that Ron and Dumbledore are the same.
Wow.
That Dumbledore is really Ron going back in time. It's not a spoiler because it's so outlandish that it's like ridiculous.
Yeah,
So Ron out of everyone.
Yeah, I was
well,
gonna
say,
at
it's
this
Ron.
point, I guess.
Well, we don't know what.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Just because part of it, even right now, it just goes through the whole books. Dumbledore seems kind of like an aloof, not aloof, like a goofy kind of character. Very kind of carefree. Not many people in the books are like that except for Ron. Ron is kind of like a carefree, goofy guy. They in weird ways, they share a very
Actually,
similar
yeah.
personality.
Yeah.
So some people try to make that connection and really
It
stretch
tracks.
it. Yeah.
Stretch it.
Hmm.
Wow. But yeah, Dumbledore.
Yeah. I do like Dumbledore offering weird people weird positions because it does different students have different needs, and I think it's not like a one size fits all, where I feel like education is becoming like that. We can have a rant about education now, but
Yeah. I was just wondering, I wonder like his hiring process.
yeah.
I want to know his questions. Like what is he questioning them on, you know? Because kind of like what you were saying, Danny, I was thinking maybe each teacher brings something different and he can peg that even though they're
Yeah.
like terrible teachers.
That's a great question.
I want to know.
Yeah. Let's say like
No, I hate
This is a
children,
really
but I love
interesting
magic.
I know,
All right, good.
perfect.
You're hired.
so
What were his questions for Snape? That's what I want to know.
yeah, honestly. Like let's say Trelawney has like an interview with Dumbledore about to walk into the office. First of all, where do you think the interview would take place? Do you think Dumbledore would be like, come to my office? Or do you think it'd be like in a seance room or something like that? Or like a bar? Like Dumbledore's out there getting hammered before this interview. Oh gosh, I gotta go interview this crazy lady right now.
He's chatting with Butterbeer.
Yeah.
My kind.
What kind of questions does Dumbledore ask this woman? Does he say, can you make a prophecy for me?
That he already knows.
Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. I
yeah.
feel like that's too like on the nose. I feel like he wouldn't say. I have no idea what he would say, so don't ask me. But I don't know. I have to
He would
ponder.
just do the
this.
mirror. What's the mirror from the first
mirror
one?
of Erised?
Yeah.
Yes, mirror air said, stand in front of that. What do you see?
Yeah.
Ah.
And he would kind of judge if they're lying or not,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Mhm.
what they actually see would say a lot.
Hmm.
Couple more similar devices that could do similar things that really look at a person's desires or heart or
And then he goes
motivation.
back in time and looks to see what.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
We get another few good lines here too, just even about friendship. It says, now my 3 friends could hardly fail to notice that I disappeared once a month. I made up all sorts of stories. I told them my mother was ill, that I had to go home to see her. I was terrified they would desert me the moment they found out what I was. But of course, they, like you, Hermione, worked at the truth and didn't desert me at all. Instead, they did something for me that would make my transformations the best times of my life. They became animagi, which we talked about last podcast about the difficulty of becoming an anime guy. And they also did stupid stuff, like they almost killed Snape. But on this anime guy transformation, it's very dangerous. What is the most dangerous thing that you've done in your life? Our rule followers over here, have you guys done
I
that?
know.
I was gonna say I don't.
I remember Danny
Oh, I have a good.
I was gonna say,
I
you
have a good
definitely
one.
have stories.
on our senior trip to Florida. We were going in the
Oh,
Tower of
yeah.
Terror, and Danny thinks it's a great idea to fake putting a seatbelt on. So he throws a seatbelt on, and the people go tug on it. So he puts his arm next to it and tugs on it, and the guy says, "Okay, that's good." So he pops it off, and he's literally grabbing onto the bar while we're flying down. He's like in midair.
Wait, they didn't have like a thing that you pulled in?
No, it's literally
It's like
just
a
a buckle
yeah.
seatbelt.
They must have changed that. 'cause
Probably
when I was
have it now.
was
They
gonna say,
probably
when I was
changed it
younger,
now
it was
because of
like-
Danny. We didn't even see the picture. They cut the picture
They cut
because
the picture,
it
yeah.
was probably so dangerous.
When I was a kid, it was a bar, and my two brothers were sitting next to me, so I was flying.
Really?
Because I was so short. Their legs were up here.
So the
And
bar
so, like,
didn't. Yeah,
when
yeah.
I like literally lifted off the seat because I was so tiny.
Well, it
You
was,
were
It's not
where
done on
were
purpose, though.
Well, oh, and I had the perfect seat
Did you have
too.
a ceiling?
Because it was in the back row. So usually you have a chair right in front of you, but I was in the center back. So there was no row in front of me. So like my feet were just flying, and you don't just drop once. You drop like multiple times.
Yeah.
So the first drop, like my feet kick up and my butt comes off the seat. And then my friend Josh was next to me and my friend Parker. They like grabbed my shoulders and they were like holding me down. But honestly, it was never anything more than I could hold already.
Yeah.
But I liked having a backup plan. But by the next jump, by the next like drop, my hips are flying up in the air. I remember thinking like my butt is higher than my head right now. I'm sure that's exaggerated in my mind over the years, but at the time it just felt like I was like flying. But my hands were holding the thing next to me the whole time, so I didn't like really go flying.
You
but
like trust your grip.
It
Why are we
was
like, this is a
terrifying.
good idea?
it was a good idea.
Yeah, we have a great story out of it.
But the thing is, I had been on that ride before, probably 2 or 3 times in my life. So I had no doubts about it. I was like, this is gonna be fine. I'm not like actually worried. So maybe other people were worried for me. They're like, we're gonna watch our friend die here.
Yeah, we were all crying, terrified.
Wow. That's
So I would
insane.
never like consciously make a decision to do that.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the difference. Yeah, like my near-death experiences, a lot of them were by choice.
Yeah.
So like, that's what feels so funny about it.
Wow. Yep.
Come on,
Do you
Jen.
have a
You must
story?
have had a near-death.
Yeah, you just said you
experience.
had one.
I know, but now I'm thinking it's not really like near. I was terrified.
Yeah, what's a terrifying experience? It's not necessarily near death.
Well, I could have died.
There's always a way.
My friend will know that her and I, the one that I was just talking about, actually, her and I got dropped off at the Grand Concourse at like 2, 3 a.m. Because Subway at nighttime, they do construction and all of a sudden they change the plans. And so we get on the subway, it stops here. We get on the bus, that's the transfer. And they're like, this is the last stop, you have to get off. And we both looked at each other. Where are we? It was the Grand Concourse. It was like 3 a.m., like I said. And we just looked at each other like, we are not supposed to be here. This is terrifying. We're looking around. There's like no one like safe looking that we could like talk to. And so we're like, let's just wait for the bus to come. So we're standing on the city street at like 3 a.m. and there's a guy coming. And what was terrifying is like he's looking around as if like no one's watching, right? Like, and he's coming like towards us. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to move. We can't just stay here waiting for the bus to come. We finally see like a street cleaner guy. And we're like, he seems like the safest right now. Let's ask him. And we're like, excuse me, Sarah. He turns around. His eyes are bulging out of his head. And he's like, what are you girls doing here? And we're like, we're trying to like get a cab or get out of here. You need to get out now. I will get you a cab. Just stay there. And he like hailed us a cab.
That's nice.
Oh my gosh. Because also we could have hailed a cab and it could have not been a cab. Like where we were was horrible. It was the worst time. And we were just like these two girls that were like clueless from like the suburbs, just like trying to navigate.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Oh,
Or how it ends. Oh, gosh.
But the guy coming towards us, like looking around to see if like the coast was clear, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Yep.
Yikes, that is not enjoyable at all.
Near death.
Kristen? Any cheery story?
I don't know. I can't think of any. Again, I'll have an answer tomorrow.
Yeah.
My brain.
John,
you
what
guys.
about you?
I don't know. I don't know what the craziest, most dangerous thing I've done has been. I haven't done anything like crazy stupid. When I was in college, I climbed a water tower. And we didn't have any ropes or anything like that, so we were running around on the top of a water tower, which was, I don't know how tall it was, 100 feet up, without anything. That wasn't crazy dangerous because I think we were all pretty sure-footed, but one trip and we probably could have died.
Oh my!
I don't know what else though. I know I've done stupid stuff, but
yeah,
it's hard to think of that on the spot. I even came up with these questions and I can't even think of that. So
it's not easy.
I know I should have put more effort into this. And now I know how you guys feel.
You gave Danny ones.
Yeah, I know.
You set it up for me. Great, I'm done. Check. Thanks, John.
How about what is the craziest, most dangerous thing, or like have you put someone else's life in danger or jeopardy?
Yes.
Ooh.
You can't
What's
just say
that
yes.
story?
Yeah, like
Well, I'm
instantly.
the oldest in my family, and I was in charge of watching my younger siblings. So I have a younger brother who's 3 years younger, and then a younger sister who's 6 years younger. And my parents went outside. They said, Jen, just, you're in charge. We're just going to be outside. And so, of course, there was some toy that I wanted in the basement. So I told I guess I was probably I don't even know how old I was. So I'm trying to figure out the age. My sister was probably in a walker with the wheels.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't even know, like 1? Yeah. I went downstairs. I told my brother, stay here. I'm going to the basement to get the toy and I'll be back. So I go down to the basement and I turn around and my brother is right behind me. And I was like, what are you doing here? I said, wait upstairs. And then I hear dun, 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 dun. And my sister was in the wheelie walker and went down the stair, fell down, rolled down the stairs.
Oh.
And she landed on the landing of the stairs. And I look and I was like, you left the door open. It was my fault, but oh my gosh, that was the scariest. I was like, she could have broke her neck. Like so many things could have went so wrong. It's my parents' fault, but that was really bad.
That is terrifying.
Wow. Yeah.
As a kid, oh my goodness.
And all she
Trauma.
did was like broke like a tooth that was like coming in. But after, like all of that, I was just, oh my gosh. My parents probably had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost killed someone.
So on Saturday, I was.
That is very recent, Danny.
It's happened weekly with Danny.
On Saturday, I was out on a local lake and rented a boat, and we're out riding around for a while. Boats are dangerous anyway, so plenty of near-death experiences, I'm sure. But at some point when the near-death stuff should be over, we throw the anchor out, and so then I park the boat. It's fine. We're just chilling. And I look at the depth gauge, 5 feet, cool. We're like kind of drifting around. And then my friend Mers, sorry, Mers, I'm blowing up your spot. She says, how deep is it here? Say like 4 or 5 feet, depending on like where we drift. And a few minutes later, she just jumps in the water. She doesn't know how to swim. It is not 5 feet deep. She goes under. And our friend Dan happened to be close enough that he went to get her, but it all happened so fast. None of us knew that it was an actual emergency because there was no like exclamation. It was just survival mode. So Dan is a pretty good swimmer, but not really ready for it. And I don't know if you've ever gone through lifeguard stuff. I don't know if he has, but like when someone is drowning and then someone else comes nearby, their instinct is to just survival. They just want to be above the water. So they end up dragging someone else down. So Dan is trying to then get to the boat, but they're only a few feet away. But it was just in this moment, it's all happening so fast, and he gets pulled under and she's under, and then he's able to like grab it really quick, but had to get away from her and then reach back out to grab her. So that all probably happened in 20 seconds, but it felt like an hour. It was like slow motion. So anyways, yeah, that was a near-death experience.
Oh my goodness.
Because I didn't look close enough at the depth gauge, or because there was seaweed enough that the depth gauge said 5 feet, but definitely not 5 feet.
Wow. Sometimes
So,
it
yeah.
is. This isn't like fun, but it's fun to see people go into like rescue mode. Like something like that happens, and someone
what
like
you're about to say.
like
It's fun to see
fun to
someone
see
go
someone
underwater.
go underwater like that. It's fun to see people react to that, like instinctually. Like humans, like sometimes if someone just follows their instincts, they see something happening, and even if it doesn't fully register, they just completely act immediately, and they can like save someone. And they're like, I wasn't really thinking. It just like I felt like it was wrong. I felt like something wasn't going right, and they just can jump in the water and get things better.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
Well, that is scary. That happened to my brother at a pool party, though. The owner of the house froze when he fell off. You know, like those animals that float on the water. He didn't know how to swim, but he thought, oh, it's on it. And then it like flipped and he didn't know how to swim. So he's just in the water. And the owner of the house is a swimmer and she owns a pool. And she's just staring. Meanwhile, like another mom that could swim, like immediately like jumped in the water and then by the time the lady got my brother, the owner of the house, like it clicked and she like jumped in. We're like, that was like so delayed. But yeah, like you were saying though, it's like some people it's like instinctual and then the other one they just freeze.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's hard to think of these stories like situational. I'm like I can swap stories if I have context behind them all the time, but I do remember or not remember. I just went on a hiking trip with some kids, and it wasn't my fault, but I took them on this trip, which essentially wasn't my fault. But 2 kids got lost on trail on probably the most dangerous section of the trail, and they got lost for about 2 hours, where they were on like a cliff's ledge. It was like we were descending a cliff's ledge, and they got lost in the section. One of the guys was just stupid, and he thought he was going to take a shortcut down. He's a dumb kid. And if they were on a cliff's ledge, if they had slipped, which they very readily could have, they could have easily fallen to their death.
Oh gosh.
So
that's scary.
That was a little ridiculous. That was a little frustrating.
A little
scary.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I had a friend that fell in the Grand Canyon. Was like a school trip and got too close to the edge and fell in. A helicopter had to like get him out.
Oh, good lord.
Oh my goodness.
It's like,
and then I went to visit the Grand. I'm like, they fell here.
When I went to Israel, I was hiking up Masada, which Masada is like an old Jewish fortress, really, really cool place. And the day before we hiked, someone was hiking down that and they fell and they died. And they told us that when we got to the top. They were like, oh, someone was hiking down this and they fell and they died. And we're like,
that's great.
Oh,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Is that the one where you can take the tram?
Yeah.
Up?
Yeah. Most people take the tram up.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Such a cool spot. Such a cool little fortress.
Wow.
I don't want to nerd about that fortress, but I can nerd about that fortress. Anyway, Harry Potter or Kristen, have you done anything? Have you put anyone's life in danger?
Please don't ask me. I don't know. I'm really trying to rack my brain. It's just not working today.
Yeah.
I'll let you know later.
Just send me voice memos.
Yeah,
the one time. Yeah.
Insert
voice memos anywhere.
Probably like
guys.
so many in
that'd
my
be great.
brain somewhere.
If you ever think of any questions, just record something and then send it to me. Okay. Then there's some other stuff here. I just want to talk about one more thing for this chapter. There's this line that goes, Sirius thought it would be amusing to tell Snape all he had to do was prod the knot on the tree trunk with a long stick and he'd be able to get in after me. Well, of course, Snape tried it. If he got as far as the house, he'd have met a fully grown werewolf. But your father, who heard what Sirius had done, went after Snape and pulled him back at a great risk to his life. Do you guys have any shred of sympathy for Snape now?
Yeah. At the least, he was being bullied in high school, which can,
Was
can leave
he
a mark.
being bullied though?
I mean, yeah, to the point where he was going to get
You should have
killed.
given it to him more. You should have bullied him more.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it.
Wait, maybe
You didn't think of this as being bullied? You thought he was being mean back then and almost deserved it?
No, I just thought he was curious. Like he was left out of like the cool kid
Oh,
group.
so not like an active bullying, but just he wasn't invited to be part of the cool
Yeah,
kid
and
crew.
he wanted to figure out what was so
Yeah.
like intriguing or whatever. So then he was like kind of spying on them and trying to follow. Like that's how I
Okay, that makes
pictured
sense.
this.
Yeah.
He's like even lower on the totem pole than Peter Pettigrew was. So he was like, "Why? I want in on that club."
Yeah,
That's a great.
and not like actively.
Yeah,
bullying
that
him.
would make sense.
That
Maybe
makes
just
more
the
sense.
beginning of the next chapter where he was so bitter, it just made me feel like there was more to this that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't like a one-time thing. It felt like there was like some built up anger or bitterness or all of the above.
Well, being left out
Yeah, at least left out.
would do that.
So let's carry this over into the next chapter then. This is the chapter 19, The Servant of Lord Voldemort. Summary of this chapter.
Kristen,
You can remember it.
I just put Snape tries to turn them all in, but the trio disarms Snape all at the same time, knocking him out, and Scabbers is turned into Pettigrew.
Mm-hmm. There's an interesting dialogue. Snape comes in this chapter, or he comes in the end of the last chapter, but then he talks in this chapter, and he's not really listening to anything that Harry says, and Harry yells, "You're pathetic. Just because they made a fool of you at school, you won't even listen. Silence. I will not be spoken to like that," Snape shrieked, looking madder than ever. "Like father, like son, Potter. I have just saved your neck. You should be thanking me on bended knee. You would have been well served if he'd kill you. You'd have died like your father, too arrogant to believe you might be mistaken in black. Now get out of the way, or I will make you." What do you think of both Harry and Snape's statements here?
To what you just said, Danny, I wrote that whole quote down and I put Snape's got some grudge.
He's got some issues.
I don't know, like, what it is, like you were saying, but that's intense.
When you're rereading it, it sounds as though something else more significant happened with James Potter.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
It's a lot to say to a kid.
I don't know. The whole thing just felt like so extreme. Tension was high here.
Yeah. I
Very
feel
high.
like this is kind of the extreme of both of their characters too. Because this was a disappointing line that Harry yells at him.
Yeah.
Like telling Snape, "A professor, you're pathetic." Like, yes, Harry, I know you have your issues with Snape, but it's a weird level to tell someone that they're pathetic. This is, in a weird way, this makes Harry a more complex character, but at the same time, we had issues with James, and we're like, James seems like a weird kind of guy, like part of this posse, like him and Snape were going at it. So we kind of lost a little sympathy for James in this book, but after this, you're like, Harry has some of that in him, like the loss of respect for this person, and he's like almost bullying him, saying you're pathetic.
I think when I was reading this from Harry, I was giving him a little grace too. Like, I did say that he went too far in the margin here, but the earlier in the page he said, or maybe it's the page before, he said there was a look in Snape's eye that he was beyond reason.
Yeah.
So it made me feel like, okay, Harry's almost just looking for strategies to snap Snape out of this.
Yeah. Wes.
But it also sounded like a trigger for Snape saying you're pathetic. It was probably like a trigger from those guys wanting to be in the
That's
cool
a great
club.
Point. Yeah, maybe they called him pathetic before, and that like really made it snap.
And now he's in charge of potions and not the defense against the dark art. I don't know. I just feel like everything is kind of like lining up to like the pathetic has followed him in his career, maybe.
And that was just like, this is the last straw. He just broke. Why do you think that Snape really is so bitter? Is it because of all the stuff that happened that he wasn't able to join the quad of Moony, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs? Or was there something else behind that? Why did he even would he want to join a group like that? And if not, why were they such rivals?
Maybe they were friends at one time and something happened. And then he got left behind, Snape, because he didn't handle a situation well. Because that would lead to major bitterness, right? You're friends with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like there is more to the Snape relationship, but I haven't quite figured it out. We don't know much. But I don't know. These guys were really good at what they did. Creating marauder maps and turning themselves into animals. They're doing real advanced stuff, and maybe Snape just wanted to be a part of that.
Maybe he's a rule. Is Snape like a rule follower? I'm trying to kind of, right? Because he disciplines all the students and everything.
He teaches like a rule follower.
So then all the quad was always doing their own thing, not following rules, not getting in trouble, very smart, very good at magic. I mean, there's that, and then they don't get in trouble, and here I am, following the rules, and I'm just me, pathetic.
But he did go on to be one of the best potions masters in the world. So like, if anything, maybe this motivated him.
But then he
does he
still
have
wants to
relationships
be
with other people?
Well, yeah.
Even in because I'm trying
like,
to figure
at
out
all,
like
you
carrying
mean?
this into adult life. Does he have other friends?
He does help.
Oh, that's
Lupin.
true.
But it probably wouldn't be a friendship, right? Sorry,
He doesn't seem to have friends, though. You're right. Whoever said that.
Do you think Dumbledore's a friend?
I think he's a coworker.
Yeah. And there's a thing. Because wait, was Dumbledore headmaster when Snape was in school?
Yeah, he was
That
because he let
stays.
Lupin come in.
Okay, yeah, that kind of
So
stays. You can
Left some point
Mhm.
between. Yeah.
okay. You, like when you become an adult, you can kind of stay peers, but there's always that
Oh,
feeling
yes.
of you're the teacher.
Mhm.
Right.
You know. So from his end, he might feel even though if they have a good relationship,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that like level
Yeah.
friendship.
And can anyone
know?
be friends with someone who is 10 times their age?
10
Sure,
times
why
their
not?
age.
Well, we don't know how old he is, but he's like pretty old, right? I'm assuming he is because the stuff in the first.
Yeah, he's for sure old. Probably not 10 times.
Maybe
his
he's
age.
not as old as
It
what's his
feels
face?
Because how
like-
old do you think Snape is right now?
It feels like Gandalf.
Snape's
or
what?
something.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Well, I was thinking, Mr. Alchemy Man. He's
yeah.
a couple hundred,
Oh,
so I
right.
figured Dumbledore was also old like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's old, but he's not that old.
He's not that old.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe I just assigned like Gandalf age to him.
that's how
But yeah, Snape. How old is he? 40? No.
Yeah, he's got to be around. Because Harry, I think if Lily and James had Harry when they were what, 30-ish, let's say 30,
Yeah.
and they aged another 13 years after that. So Snape is the same age as them.
43,
So
yeah.
he's probably around 40, mid 40s, early 40s.
That's
Sounds right.
reasonable.
So that was
Still weird that
Dumbledore-
Hagrid's like 65.
Yeah.
But
But then it was Dumbledore, young headmaster.
well, he also I don't know how young he was, but he defeated Grindelwald in 45 because Grindelwald was Hitler, remember? My other crazy
This
theory.
is the theory.
I
So
need
if he-
ages, not numbers, not years.
So he was fighting the largest, craziest dark wizard of that time in 1945. So at the least, he was fighting age, whatever that means.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or 300. We don't know.
Were the trio right to attack a teacher?
Oof.
I feel like they all independently
I was-
came to that conclusion, right?
Yeah.
But did they mean to attack him? I feel like
Disarm.
yeah. Right, like
Yeah.
it just
was by
happened that with their
cho-
3 powers combined.
Right, well it was
But-
by chance that they both
Yeah.
I can't. The words are not happening. All 3 hit him at the same time. So I don't know if that was like deliberate.
And also, I feel like with magic, this emotional component again, I don't fully understand, but like they were getting passionate,
yeah.
so it might do more than they
True.
intended. Like it feels like these great wizards are able to just do these things simply, and then the wands pop up in the air and land in their
Mhm.
hands. But these kids just don't know how to do it. So
yeah, it's like they wanted to
Perfect.
make sure it happened.
yeah,
So maybe
yeah.
They put too much force in. They didn't
Maybe.
mean to.
Yeah. And it was an independent decision by each of them. It
Right.
seems like that in the book. They all just kind of decided to do it,
Yeah,
and
that's
they
how
did
I
it the
took
same
it.
exact time. And Snape gets knocked back. But still, I feel like disarming a teacher.
Oh,
I feel like in the moment
Again.
though.
We forgot to pass around the
Too
chocolate
much.
pretzels.
Gotta eat your
Dark
chocolate,
chocolate girl from
girl.
Trader Joe's
Eat your
pretzels.
chocolate.
because we're
Sponsored-
fending off.
Yeah, this episode is sponsored by Trader Joe's
love
dark
it.
chocolate covered mini pretzels.
Do you
That
have
was
a
a great
Dementor
commercial.
problem?
Dementor's got you down.
My gosh. I was gonna say, I feel like in that moment though, you're not thinking like teacher. No, you're thinking. I don't know. I feel like they were thinking outside of that,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
protection.
Yeah, but I mean, you just said it. They always have those boundaries in their head of teacher-student things. So it's like
Maybe
in
not-
their head, it's he's Snape,
Whatever.
and this is a different boundary. They're in the Shrieking Shack, but they're still like, this is a professor.
I would have done it.
Yeah, but I feel well, kind of like what Danny was saying. It's like an emotional moment, you know. In
Yeah.
those emotional moments, you're not thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, the teacher."
Yeah, for sure. Agreed on that.
Maybe one.
It feels like they couldn't have disarmed him if it wasn't all 3 of them.
Ooh.
Like, I'm not so sure Harry could have done it on his own. And maybe that's part of it too. Like, in my mind, when you're being disarmed, you can resist. You know, like, you can, like, hold on to your wand as hard as you can, but the more you resist, the more likely it is to have, like, a blowback, maybe. So I guess I sort of thought I had this, like, subconscious connection to Snape is, like, really holding on, expecting that one of these other dudes has a wand in his back pocket, or that something else would happen. I don't know. So then it almost felt like he was expecting this from Harry, but didn't expect it from all three of them. And he was, like, trying to resist, but then couldn't. I don't know if that makes any sense. But
there is a weird spectrum of spell work too, that I think it's just from people's general opinions in the book, that some you really have to mean and some you just get immediately. And I don't know if the Expelliarmus one, to me, it seems like once you get it, you get it. But they probably just learned that. They learned that in the second book from an inadequate teacher, and they just learned it from Lupin, who's much more adequate in that. So to me, it feels like once you get the disarming curse, or not curse, disarming charm spell, I feel like you could disarm anyone.
So it's just like first person to say it?
Yeah, and I feel like you could block certain things like that. Like if
Wouldn't
if
that be
you're
the first
a more advanced one, you could just quickly block it.
Oh, you can block. Oh, okay. Because we haven't really seen any real wizard battles yet.
Yeah.
It's only, but I'm just thinking if it's all about that, it almost becomes a speed test of whoever can get their Expelliarmus off quicker.
Yeah,
yeah, like
I
a
lost
quick
that
draw,
one.
you know, like take your 10 paces.
Jen
and-
got me. Oh my. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Then there's just some good lines in this too. Like, there's just frustrating lines. We talked about this in the last podcast too, but when Sirius is talking, he goes, "Harry, I as good as killed him," he croaked. "I persuaded Lily and James to change to Peter at the last moment. Persuaded them to use him as secret keeper instead of me. I'm to blame. I know it. The night they died, I'd arranged to check on Peter to make sure he was still safe, but when I arrived at his hiding place, he'd gone. Yet there was no sign of struggle. Didn't feel right. I was scared. I set out for your parents' house straight away. When I saw their house destroyed and their bodies, I realized what Peter must have done. What I'd done." His voice broke. He turned away. Oh, devastating. But what do you think of this story so far? And we talked about this last podcast too, but is there anything that you just still don't understand about this? Or are there holes in this narrative that you just don't feel are there yet?
Yeah. I just don't, I guess it's still hard to like, there's just something like still missing and I don't even know how to put it into words, I guess. That's not even helpful for a podcast. It's just weird, I guess. Because how did Sirius or Peter, I don't know. Just mute me.
No, I mean, I think what you're saying is interesting too, because it's just, there's like,
What did I say?
you know what you don't, or you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you know that something's
Yeah.
not right. You just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I think that is a good way to say it, because it makes sense. I reread part of this and I was like, I know what they're trying to say, but something feels like it's missing. And I don't know what it is. Like, part of it is I'm thinking Dumbledore knew a lot of what was going on, but he wasn't the secret keeper. And I don't know why they didn't do that. And maybe there was a practical side, some urgency, something, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what it is, but something's missing. I'm somewhat satisfied.
Yeah, I feel like it's
One
definitely
more.
more satisfying in this book. Like, we get somewhat of a satisfying ending in this one where we actually know more of the story. Like, that's why this one takes a significant leap from the other ones, because you actually get backstory and you understand more of what is actually going on. But it's still, I feel like, a little insignificant, or not insignificant, incomplete, where you don't know the full story yet. I feel like there's things that are still missing.
No. So I still have a hard time with the Sirius Black giving up the secret keeper to Peter Pettigrew. I still feel like that was so weird
Yeah.
and like dumb. And obviously he regrets it.
Agreed. I feel like it was just a rash decision. I don't understand the decision making either. I feel like it was a very stupid decision, especially with Dumbledore around. Dumbledore didn't know what was happening. But if I'm them, I don't care like yeah, you have some of your best friends in the world around. Then again, there's Dumbledore, who is like the most not feared wizard ever, but probably the best wizard of the age. And you're like, I'm not going to give this person the secret keeper duties. I mean, I guess that just shows the point of friendship in this book. Like friendship, how it's people who are, or triumphs over people who are incredible at magic. Like friendship really is a cornerstone of this whole series. But Sirius's decision making is seriously flawed.
Yep.
But I think that's part of what I still don't know about this whole thing. Like, we know Voldemort is bad, but we don't know the extent of what he was doing or what else was at stake. And we know that Voldemort was after Harry, and James and Lily seemed to understand there was some urgency there. But, or maybe he wasn't even after Harry, but we kind of feel like he was. He was at least after James and Lily, but there could have been other things that Dumbledore and the rest of the wizarding world viewed as more important at the time. Like, protecting a baby maybe is not top of the priority list when there could be so many more things at stake, things hidden in vaults at Gringotts or back at Hogwarts that they need to protect. So until we know more, I don't know. It's hard to judge anyone too harshly.
I still need to know why he went after the Potters, so...
Yeah, that's we don't even really know Voldemort's motivation yet.
Yeah.
Or if anyone really knew what was at stake. But
or could they have turned into an animal and then they can't read the mind of the secret keeper, right? Like if Sirius Black turned into his dog form, would Voldemort been able to find out where they were?
It's a great question.
You should have done that. I like that idea. Maybe something happens in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your face
something
is
definitely
blank.
does out in the future because we still have 4 more books left. 4 fantastic books left.
Great cover.
But it is interesting. I think the more I think about it, and the more you guys talk about it too, I'm coming to the realizations of how important friendship is in this book in particular, with the quad of friends, the Marauders, and the trio of friends becoming even better friends, and how we learn people like Snape really doesn't have many friends, like the value of friendship in these books. And these guys, it just seems like a frustrating lapse in judgment that Sirius Black had, or maybe it wasn't a lapse in judgment. He was with them. Peter Pettigrew was with them, so it seems like right up his alley. Maybe he's going, why would Peter ever betray us? He really had developed trust in him, which is like the cornerstone of a good friendship. You really developed trust in him, and then all of a sudden this guy betrays you out of nowhere, which is he just never saw coming.
Wait, what was the secret keeper charm? Was that something?
It's called the Fidelius charm.
Yeah, which is just kind of like a funny name.
Yeah, the faithfulness charm.
Yeah, like it gives me like Semper Fi vibes.
Yeah, seriously.
And it feels like they were a brotherhood, except Peter.
Yeah, honestly.
And I feel like maybe I'm just, again, projecting more emotion on it than needs to be, but I feel like there could be that emotional element of like the stronger the bond between people, the stronger the spell is as far as a secret keeper spell. So maybe it literally could have been a more powerful spell with one of these guys than it would have been with Dumbledore.
Yeah, that's true. Ooh, that's a great point. Oh, freaking. Oh my gosh, this is such an interesting point. I can't wait till we get to future chapters. All right, so there is another really good line. This is a long one, so bear with me as I read this one. But it goes, Harry remembered what Mr. Weasley had told him. The guards say he's been talking in his sleep, always the same words. He's at Hogwarts. It was as if someone had lit a fire in my head. So this is Sirius talking now. And the Dementors couldn't destroy it. It wasn't a happy feeling. It was an obsession, but it gave me strength. It cleared my mind. So one night when they opened the door to bring my food, I slipped past them as a dog. It's so much harder for them to sense animal emotion that they were confused. I was thin, very thin enough to slip through the bars. I swam back as a dog to the mainland and journeyed north and slipped into the Hogwarts grounds as a dog. I've been living in the forest forever, or ever since, except when I came to watch the Quidditch, of course. You fly as well as your father did, Harry. He looked at Harry, who did not look away. Believe me, croaked Black. Believe me. I never betrayed James and Lily. I would have died before I betrayed them. And at long last, Harry believed him. Throat too tight to speak, he nodded. Oh. Is Ron nuts for letting Scabbers sleep in his bed?
Oh, yes. It just grosses me out thinking about it. Yeah,
I know.
It's a rat.
But still, it's a rat.
It's a rat. If you're keeping a rat in your bed, we need to have a talk because that's gross.
Even for all this, for the quote that we just read too, do you feel like Harry changed his mind quickly, or do you think this is like he just understood and this is perfect and this is exactly what he needed and he was good?
Yeah, I thought he changed his mind quick.
It definitely felt quick to me, but I feel like he was already starting to change his mind a little bit. He wanted to believe this was true already.
Yeah.
When he looked back at that picture from his parents' wedding, I feel like deep down he wanted to believe that his parents were good judges of character. Ultimately, even if Black wasn't a good judge of character with Peter, at least Harry can feel good that his parents were good judges. And Harry's a pretty good judge of character too. So he was ready for it. He was like, yep, I'm down.
Yeah. I also love just that this one is showing us like Harry was actually able to let go. Like, yes, he thought that Black had murdered his parents, but he, in his heart, was still able to forgive to some extent. He had to have been able to let this go that quick.
Yeah.
Which I think is very admirable. And Snape has not been able to forgive these people yet. He is still holding on to the grudge. So right now in Harry's mind, he's like, I could become like Snape, like pave my own path and like forgive this person. And I mean, this like tough line, Harry believed him. And at long last, Harry believed him. Throat too tight to speak, he just nodded. So I kind of think you're right too,
Snape
Danny.
has
He
no
just
friends.
kind of understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
He really doesn't have any friends.
Like you become so bitter.
I know. Do you think that Harry is right to show mercy to Peter Pettigrew?
Oof. I think everyone deserves mercy because who are you to tell, like, to take someone's life? But that's hard too because when you find all that out.
Oh, I know.
But I think it's if they have like a justice system where you can actually have him go through that. And then it's not on your conscience either though. Like Harry, like it was all on Harry. Do you want us to kill him or not? Like that's a lot. Also,
yeah, right.
To put that on
it should
a
not
kid.
have been on him. Yeah.
Was he showing him mercy though?
What else
In a
would
sense, yes, because he said he can go to Azkaban. If anyone deserves that place, he does. So I feel like almost in his own way, this was like a bigger punishment for Pettigrew, so that it's not like...
I guess this is the age-old question of capital punishment versus solitary confinement, or I still remember this is like the most introverted story that I ever have had in my life. We were reading a story in my 10th grade English teacher's class called The Bet, and it was about this group of guys who are having a debate about what's worse, capital punishment or solitary confinement for the rest of your life. And in my head, I'm like, there's a clear answer to that. There's actually one is like lovely. In my head, I'm thinking all this, and my English teacher goes, okay, by a show of hands, who would rather spend the rest of your life alone in solitary confinement rather than die? And my head's down and I'm doing work at my desk, and I remember not even looking up, but I just put my hand up. And I remember looking up and everyone was looking at me like I was out of my mind. And I looked around and everyone else is like, I would much rather take death over like being in solitary confinement for the rest of my life. And I had to defend myself there for like the rest of the class of why it's wonderful.
It would be great. It's my dream.
And the story of The Bet, it makes it wonderful because the guy's like literally reading books all day and like learning music, and he goes through like phases, so it does show your need for people. And I'm not that insane about it, but it's definitely an interesting question in this book. Going to Azkaban or murdering him right there, what is worse? I think murdering him there is worse.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he is showing him mercy, but I guess I was thinking from Harry's perspective. It's like he wanted him to be punished, and it was like that was a longer punishment for him.
Like
Death is immediate, and he's done.
You can go around there. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Especially there.
Right.
Oof.
Yeah, that's true. Because Harry has experienced the Dementors now, so maybe he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have this for the rest of your life. Go ahead."
With the Dementors, it's like your worst thing that's happened in your life. You just repeat over and over. That's where I guess I was kind of confused because it's saying like, remember Harry hears his parents or his mom crying, screaming over Voldemort killing, going after Harry. And then he said that Sirius Black wouldn't have anything tormenting him because he enjoyed killing the Potters, or he was okay. So like, that's I guess what I'm asking is that like.
So the Dementors suck out everything happy from you. For the only thing that's left is depressing and sad memories that people just go insane with. But with Sirius Black, it was the two things. People thought he was okay because he was so maniacal and so out of his mind that he enjoyed it.
Got it.
So it wasn't necessarily like it was like almost like a deep sense of enjoyment. So they like couldn't feed on that yet because it was like, I guess, so deep, and so he enjoyed it so much that he was like okay. But then we learned from Sirius that it wasn't really a happy thought; it was an obsession. That they couldn't take that from him.
But what was the years before that? Because he was in Azkaban for 12 years.
Yeah.
So him finding out about Scabbers was only like a year or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
So what was he doing for the other 10 years?
He was in Azkaban.
No, I know, but like mentally, like he said that
like,
he was
did he have an
obsessing
obsession?
over,
Did he have something else?
Yeah.
And
he became a dog.
Yeah.
Like it just,
Yeah,
it
that's true.
seems like, how do you do 10 years? But the last 2 years, like
Right.
I'm obsessed with this. I'm going after it. Like what was the 10 years before that?
he was probably doing his dog tricks a little bit.
Mm.
And he seems like a mentally strong person in some ways. I'm still a little confused by some of the weirdness, like where he's laughing hysterically at random moments.
Yeah.
Because he did that even here where he's talking to Peter about Voldemort a little bit and he just starts like laughing. And it was just like bizarre. That like put me on edge a little bit, but maybe that's how he survived. I'm thinking of this one story I heard about some guy who was going through like water torture in some room with a dripping, and then nobody can survive that. It just like drives people nuts. But once he eventually got out after however long it was, they said, "How did you survive?" And he said, "I learned to fall in love with the sound." And I don't know what that means or if I'm even remembering the story correctly, but just the idea of like the mental ability to view things from different perspectives. So I feel like Black might have been able to turn something there into a good thing or a bad thing or an obsession or distract himself just to survive.
That is true, because it is like the mindset thing, like claustrophobia. I was just talking to someone about this. Terrifies me, like people are like in caves.
Yeah.
Like the
Or
whole, even the
trapped
whole.
in a coffin.
Yeah. Like that is the most terrifying thing. But if you're able to calm yourself down and like trick your mind into enjoying it, you can survive for an enormously long period of time. And like even like people who are cave diving, you're like squeezing through this little thing. Like take a deep breath and like go through it, and then like you in something in your mind switches and you can actually enjoy it.
Nope.
I was gonna say I don't know if that's possible for me.
Nope.
No, well, like cave diving, like that to me, like that's still terrifying. I don't know if I would ever want to enjoy that, but there have been things in my life that I have not enjoyed at all, and then I force myself to like I remember actually the first time I ever went tubing was with you, and I hated it because the person who was driving the boat was going so fast, and I remember like I was like holding onto this tube for dear life, terrified. We had to pay $5 for it. It was miserable.
I did not tube for a long time after that.
I didn't tube for a long time after that. And anytime I would go to our friend's house who had a lake house, we would go tube, and I hated it. For like 4 or 5 years, we would go there like every summer, and I hated it with everything in me. But they would tube for the whole...
I had no idea you felt the same way.
They would tube for the whole day. It was like you wake up, you eat a breakfast, you tube from like 9 to 12, you take a lunch, you then tube from 1 to 4. It was like...
torture.
I hated it. I loved going up to their lake, but I hated it. And then one day I was like, you know what? I am just going to make this enjoyable. I'm going to jump on other people's tubes. If I get knocked off, I'm going to laugh it off. I'm going to like actually just force myself to have fun here. and it worked. And I loved it. And maybe it was just because I got older and I was able to deal with it. But like I remember just jumping on our friends' tubes and trying to knock them off. And like they were so good at it. It was so much fun to like hop across other people and like try to do tricks and stuff like that. That it ended up just becoming fun for me. And that's tubing, so that's a little different from
torture and
prison.
No, but I totally get it because it's just the mental approach to something.
Yeah.
You can change even the genuine pain of falling off a tube can go from something torturous to fun.
Yeah. But what are your guys' thoughts on the quad of Peter, Pettigrew, Lupin, Sirius, and James? Like now that you've gotten their story.
I don't know, but like I don't know the dynamic. The thing with Snape throws it off. I'm confused, but I view them as like the wizards. Like these are like the guys. In the wizarding world, they must have been causing waves. And like 2 chapters ago, we saw the owls and the newts. And they must have been very high on their wizarding levels and passing these tests and doing all crazy things. Because they're doing things as 5th years that only 7 people in the world have ever done.
Yeah. Insane stuff.
And shouldn't there be penalties for that too, by the way?
Yeah.
Like, actually, maybe there would be. Even if Black got off for some of this other stuff, maybe he would have been caught and convicted for being an animal, an animagus. That feels illegal to not register yourself.
It's highly illegal.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is a big no-no, but they were able to.
But yeah, what's the dynamic between these people? Peter doesn't fit in this crew.
He did, and then he got like power hungry because
You think
he
he
was
did?
the weak one.
Yeah, like he was just like the go along with things.
He was like the
what
follower.
did he contribute though? Like just encouraging them. Like you guys are great. Who's that little guy
Maybe
who
they
hangs out with Gaston?
Either what?
With Gaston. Maybe they took him under his wing. Instead of what can they get out of it with him?
Right.
Maybe they took him in.
Genuinely
like
to
they're
be
good
nice.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be true.
Or they could be prideful and be like, "Oh, let's make ourselves feel better. We'll keep him around." But they were already good wizards, so it doesn't like if you have the weakest link and now you're feel better by yourself because you could perform all these different spells.
Maybe they just used him to do all their errands.
Yeah.
And now it makes sense as to why
They wanted to get out of jail free card because Peter's dad was head of Ministry of Magic back then.
Oh, the plot thickens.
Well, I'm just thinking of like, could Peter be related to anyone? Who's his family? Where did he come from? Does he have a brother out there who's a ferret?
Tell me everything.
So ferret.
A prairie dog? That's me.
I didn't mean to go here
A
either,
prairie dog?
but can they procreate as their animal form? Okay, too far. Cut it.
Keeping it in.
He's not keeping it in.
Well, because at first I meant a ferret brother, like someone who's an animagus, and then I was like, or there could be other things going on out there.
Oh my goodness.
There's a little.
Anyway.
There's a female
Fascinating
rat
question.
somewhere.
Okay, let's get to the last chapter. The Dementor's Kiss. Chapter 20. Which isn't the last chapter in the book, but the last chapter in this pod. Give me a summary of this chapter.
I'm gonna butcher it, but I'll try. It's when Harry, Sirius, and Hermione are out of the what the heck is it called?
Shrieking Shack?
Yes. And the Dementors are coming, and Harry, they're like taking off he's starting to see that the Dementors taking off the hood. It looks as though he's gonna go give the Dementor's kiss towards Harry, and then all of a sudden he's losing consciousness. Hermione's out. Isn't Sirius out also, like knocked out, and the Patronus that we think is the Patronus, it's just some silvery creature. No, at first it's coming out faintly from his wand, and then all of a sudden a full Patronus comes out, and he sees something across the lake. He sees a person, looks like maybe he thinks it might be a relative of his, and then the animal protects them. The Dementors go away, And the animal goes back to the owner, it seems, across the lake.
That was so good. That was great. Yeah, Jen's like,
Good job, Jen.
I'm done with this.
Nice.
Let's go home.
One last little thing from the previous chapter 19. There was a line in there about delivering the last Potter to them that made me think the Potter family is bigger than like I originally thought. Because we don't know any other Potters, but the last Potter. I was like, what does that mean? Who are his grandparents?
So was Voldemort going on a Potter
rampage?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of felt that way, and we don't know anything about Lily. And I wrote a little side note. I always brainstorm and go a little far, but I said, could Lily be a Riddle?
Ooh.
What do you mean a riddle?
Like Tom Riddle.
Oh, I was
Like a sibling to Voldemort. That would explain some
'Cause he's
genetic
an
connection
orphan.
to Voldemort. That's a good point.
But his dad was a muggle, his mom was a witch.
But maybe it's like
Voldemort.
those
But-
tales where they split the twins up, like a Star Wars tale.
Ooh. But even if he is an orphan, like he could have aunts, like Lily could be his cousin, could still be part of the riddles.
And he would
But
wanna
really, this
kill
line
her?
really was more about the Potter family, like the last Potter, as if he was going after Potters for something in particular. So maybe they
Didn't
were
pick
a great
that up.
wizarding family that has fallen on hard times. Okay, sorry. Back to chapter 20.
That was a good excursion. There's essentially a few bits of information in this chapter, but one particular one, and this quote from the book, they're walking out of the tunnel, and Sirius goes, I don't know if anyone's ever told you, I'm your godfather. Yeah, I knew that, said Harry. Well, your parents appointed me your guardian, said Sirius stiffly. If anything happened to them. Harry waited. Did Sirius mean what he thought he meant? I'll understand, of course, if you want to stay with your aunt and uncle, said Sirius. But, well, think about it. Once my name's cleared, if you want a different home, and then Harry's mind goes in all sorts of different directions. He's like really excited. But do you think it's crazy now that Harry's actually okay with living with Sirius? Like he has an immediate split in his mind where he's like, yes, I want to do this.
That showed me how unhappy he is with the Dursleys.
That's
Yeah.
a
That
good
he
point.
was so quick to jump on that. I mean, it's been like, what, 2 minutes?
Yep.
He dreads going back.
Yeah.
I couldn't get the picture out of my mind that you showed us from the illustrated version, and I'm just picturing that guy. I mean, like, come live with me, and I was like, no. Why would Harry ever be down with
Yeah,
this?
some
but his
candy out of my
dad was
white
best
van?
friends with him.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
he's remembering, I think, a previous version of Sirius Black. He's giving him a lot of benefit of this awkward situation, which does speak to, like you said, how bad the Dursleys are and Harry's character. But at the time, I was like, this feels really weird.
Also, it's the weirdest time to bring that up. While we're walking out and we're all like,
We're carrying these
just-
prisoners. People are unconscious. It's in a dark little thing.
By the
He's
way,
all sweaty
I
and
am
gross.
your
Probably.
godfather.
That was a damage, Danny.
That's like Star Wars. That was great. I am going to defend Harry Potter till the day that I die. So I'm going to defend these chapters and what I think is the good time for him, because Sirius, what I think is actually a really, not maybe the best time to do it, but what other time does Sirius Black have? He
Yeah.
just got out of prison. He's been there for 12 years stewing on this idea that he's the godfather and he's abandoned Harry. And this is his chance to tell him that. Like, he's got it. He has no other thing. Like, this is it. So he goes and he's like, I'm
yeah,
your
but
godfather,
he's gonna
Harry.
be a free guy. So why don't you ask him when you're not in a tunnel carrying a prisoner with you or whatever?
Because Scabbers
That's-
gets out in a few
Yeah.
paragraphs. It's all
He
for the
might be
plot.
thinking it's his only chance.
And he's taking advantage of the time he has. Like, it kind of makes sense. And Harry is just as, like, eager and crazy. He's like, are you insane? And there's a brief, like, moment where you're like, what's he going to say? Of course I want to leave the Dursleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I love how practical Harry is. He's like, have you got a house?
Yeah.
Like, also, but, like,
Oh.
do you live somewhere?
Yeah.
I mean,
Harry's like, I'll live in a tent. He's like, I'll live in the dirt with you. I'll
Yeah,
live in the forest.
Can you sign my permission slip to go to
yeah,
Hogsmeade?
right.
What if that was the first thing out of Harry's mouth? Wait, time out. Before all this, can you sign this permission form for me?
I've been dying to go.
Oh, wait, we still don't know who gave him the firebolt.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sirius Black. But how?
Well, he still could have. We don't know, but maybe that's not the first order of business. First, it'll be talk about living situation, then talk about the 12 years of Christmas presents missed.
But
yeah.
There's also another weird point in this too. Like, this is a chapter with, like, I guess not loopholes, but just lapses in judgment for characters or weird things happening. Do you think it's feasible that someone like Lupin forgot to take his potion?
I know. I thought that was so weird.
I think Lupin was thrown off. And maybe as the moon was coming closer, he was fearing it, but also feels like he kind of forgot about it. So it was a little bizarre. I don't think he should have even left his map behind. When he was going to chase these guys down, it says he saw them on the map.
Yeah.
Why would you not bring this?
I know.
Like, you have to now run from inside the castle somewhere to outside and chase them down, and you just leave the map. Bring it with you. This is a GPS tracker. You can then make sure you don't lose them. So that felt odd. I get why Harry keeps throwing this invisibility cloak around because he doesn't know how to take care of things. But Lupin leaving that felt weird. And then forgetting the potion, forgetting that the moon was going to be out when he's taking a step out of the tree. The whole thing felt a little bit weird.
I mean, it does have to serve the plot too. Like, if they have the map, Peter Pettigrew transforms into a rat. Oh, he's right there.
There he is.
Let's go get him.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because even if they had the map right now, they'd be able to chase him into the woods.
That's what I was literally just... But then didn't Snape see the map?
But even Snape left the map behind. He didn't bring it with him.
Oh,
and
he
again,
left it
he
too.
saw it on his
desk.
desk.
But then he didn't see Peter Pettigrew on the map.
I don't remember if he did, actually. Did it address that?
It does. No. It doesn't, but I'm guessing he just
you know why? Because he was already at the Shrieking Shack, and the shack was out of the view of the map. Because it showed that the passages went off, seeming to go towards Hogsmeade, but it didn't actually show Hogsmeade.
Yeah, because it says he saw Harry and Hermione go in, and then he saw Lupin go in after.
So, like, he could see certain things on the map, but timing-wise, maybe that's why he didn't bring it too. He's like, well, they're already out of the range of this map. Yeah.
And then on reading this chapter, 2 questions. We'll wrap this up. 2 questions, and then we'll do some summary questions. So hang on, guys. What do you think Harry's Patronus was on finishing this chapter?
Well, his didn't really work though, right? It was like it felt like he kind of failed. Like he was trying to, and then it just like messed up.
I thought that it was maybe, I know he said like a unicorn or something. I was like, what other like white animal that like glows
like a unicorn
would be coming over? Yeah. That's like it's another creature like a unicorn, like what Buckbeak is, but like maybe a different
Patronus.
Hippogriff. Thank you.
That'd be a cool Patronus.
It would.
Menacing Patronus. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I think maybe I'm just thinking of my own bunny Patronus. I like to think it's not about how powerful the animal is.
It's not. It's definitely not how powerful the animal is. It's how powerful the spell is. Jen is dying.
It is like so dumb. I like did the test and I'm like, oh man, are you serious?
You're so excited to see it.
I'm a Hufflepuff with a bunny Patronus. Ready? Woo! Take that, Dementors. So I was curious. We'll have to find where it said that in this chapter about his.
So Harry can't cast a full Patronus, but someone is able to cast it. Who do you think this Patronus is? Who is casting this Patronus?
I thought at first I was like, was it Dumbledore or was it like another powerful wizard across the way? Because then doesn't he say like, could it be them? Like, is it? Right in that chapter, he's like, I'm not sure. Yeah, but then when he said that, I'm like, it has to be someone he would. It wouldn't be Dumbledore then. It'd be someone.
I'm sure in Harry's mind too, because we've talked about this before in the podcast with Danny. You guessing if Sirius Black or if the dog is James Potter. I'm wondering in Harry's mind if that's where he's going to an extent where he sees someone cast a Patronus. He's like, I just saw Peter Pettigrew, Lupin, Sirius Black are here. Gotta be like maybe my dad's there. Yeah. Which does go through his mind.
Yeah. And I tried to figure it out too. I didn't know until this chapter that Crookshanks was a guy. I thought Crookshanks was a girl. And then it said he at some point. And I was like, what? Okay. But that was also in my mind where I'm like, could it be? I don't know. Crookshanks is weird to me, but I just couldn't get behind it. I'm like, I don't think James Potter could be any of the people or animals we've seen. I'm like, I kind of feel like he is dead. So yeah, I thought of Dumbledore for a second. Then I was like, could Snape be back? Could Lupin have found some way of like not being a werewolf for a bit to cast a Patronus, or could he cast it as a werewolf? I don't know.
I didn't even think it was a Patronus though at first. I thought it was just like a creature.
Oh, like an actual creature,
that
like
was,
a unicorn.
The owner
was
standing there, and the owner sent the creature
Ah.
to protect
interesting.
against the Dementors, and then called it back. That's
No, that makes sense.
but-
Yeah.
That'd be cool to like have a creature that you could just hang out with. That's not like an owl or a rat. That's like
a magical
a
creature.
magical. Like imagine just having, like a griffin walk down the halls with you to school. Like how cool would that be?
That'd cool.
Like, don't mess with me, Draco. I got my fucking griffin, or I'm gonna rip you apart.
Yes. Bow down.
That's yours.
Jen is sounding like Snape in these chapters when Snape goes, "You should be bowing down at my feet.
Oh,
Bow down to me."
Goodness.
I'm talking about a Draco. Everyone should be on board with that
Yeah, we all
right
are.
now.
Yeah.
Anything else in this chapter that you guys had questions of, or that you noticed?
Well, I'm not sure about the timing yet, but I'm still waiting for who's running off to join Voldemort, because that to me would be a prophecy fulfilled. It's the only maybe bit that Trelawney has said that I'm really like, that's going to happen. And we know that by midnight, someone is going to run off to join the Dark Lord. So even as I was reading this, I was still skeptical of Sirius Black, Lupin, and Pettigrew. I'm kind of like waiting almost to say, whoever joins the Dark Lord, whoever is gone by midnight, that's who's evil. Like that almost is the thing in my head that I'm like, I'm not ready to rest on this until one of them is gone to join the Dark Lord. So when Lupin runs off, that was my first thought, where I'm like, shoot, now he's running into the woods. Is he off joining the Dark Lord right now? Okay, Peter Pettigrew runs off. Is he the one who's going to go join the Dark Lord? And then it just kind of felt like a weird thing where I'm like, all right, things are uncertain. At midnight, maybe we'll know. But now maybe we won't, because everyone's going to be unaccounted for at midnight. So
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
I forgot about I forgot about her
her little
prediction
Yeah.
until you were talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I still think it's Peter Pettigrew though.
Yeah, according to what we're believing, according to what Harry believes, that makes the most sense.
J.K. Rowling is making us skeptics about this. Whatever it seems obvious,
Yeah.
it's not the right answer.
Right,
so you're
right.
Like, it can be.
I know.
And we have so much time to sit in this and like let it stew
Yeah.
that we're like, even though when I was reading it, I might have had certain thoughts. Then when I'm thinking about it more, new things pop up and I'm like, what about this? But yeah, I'm eager to see when midnight strikes, where everyone's at.
But then it's like, why wouldn't Peter Pettigrew already have joined Voldemort before right now?
Well, he
that's a
only
big
would
question.
join if he thought Voldemort would win. Like,
That's
he's
right.
just
That's
trying to
what
survive.
Lupin said, right?
Yeah, like he was hanging out with the Weasleys because if he really thinks Voldemort is donezo forever, then I think he would find a way to come out and just be good. I'm not saying he would just like pop up in Ron's bed. He would like, go scamper off and then appear later. But
he'll just
he'd find
stay
a
a
way to
rat
appear and
forever.
like be like, I'm back. Or maybe he would just go off and live on an island somewhere. I don't know. But I think the only reason he'd go back to Voldemort is if he thought there was something that would make Voldemort more powerful. Like maybe in this whole interaction, somebody learned something important they didn't know before. And then they can use that as a little bargaining chip. The Potters were a prize, even the first time. So now Harry is the new prize for Voldemort. as the last Potter. So whatever that means, I don't know. But somebody will go join the Dark Lord and bring all of the information from this chapter to him.
So
I just don't know who yet.
The next 2 chapters. Still got 2 left. All right, real quick, rapid fire. Who is your favorite character? These 3 chapters.
It's between Lupin and Ron for me. Ron because of the broken leg and still like fighting and being feisty.
Literally willing to die.
Yeah. I mean
cool part.
He's like putting his body on the line. Lupin still has been a little irresponsible, so I'm going to take it back. The whole, turning into a werewolf thing, he should have stayed in the Shrieking Shack and let the others go back. And then all of the drama could have been avoided.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ron.
Congrats, Ron.
I'm going to have to second that. I love that moment when Black, first of all, said, and 2 of us should be chained to this. That made me laugh that he didn't say him to Pettigrew. He said to this. And then Lupin said, I'll do it. And me, said Ron savagely, limping forward. I was like,
I love that. Ron is becoming a Gryffindor
so
through and
good.
through right
Yes,
here. He is just living up to that. But he has no confidence. Ron, get some confidence, bud.
He'll get there.
I do like Hermione in these chapters. Just for how she's such a detective. She figures she knew all this stuff before it was happening.
Yeah.
She didn't connect all the dots, but she really knew a lot of this stuff very well.
She knew Lupin was a werewolf and
Yeah.
didn't say
Yeah, that is
anything.
so cool.
Like halfway through the semester, she as soon as Snape said the essay, she knew. And then I do have appreciation and love for Sirius Black. Some of the greatest lines in this book are with Sirius Black here. With he would never abandon them. And just the ability, how he actually learned how he escaped from Azkaban, is very impressive. Very, very impressive.
A part of me was I do feel like Snape did the best that he could for a professor too. So he's like, I'm gonna come save you guys.
Yeah.
I kind of saw everything unfolding, and I'm here to rescue you.
I mean, that's a fair point. McGonagall wasn't doing this.
Yeah, seriously.
Obviously, Madam Hooch wasn't doing
Yeah.
this.
Nope.
Even Dumbledore,
Hooch was
other
asleep.
people with good intentions were not on top of things like he was.
Yeah.
Even if he was just motivated by trying to
Even
catch
though-
his high school bully in wrongdoing.
Yeah.
But
But then why didn't Snape say anything to Dumbledore either? Hey, all these guys are together. I'm gonna go check it out.
time was of the essence, I suppose.
Yeah, but
Send him a note.
they have magic. This is what I don't
Yeah, that's fair.
understand.
You're right. Flu powder. Quick up to Dumbledore's office.
Or can't they
And
just
then write down. Telecommunicate.
Thank you.
Send a little message with their minds.
Do you think
Mind
that people, do you
texting.
think that you think you could read a mind or send a message
We
through a
said
mind?
Dumbledore can, I thought.
I think, John said Dumbledore is just so familiar with people and emotions that he can read
he's
people, but not in a
500
magic
years
way. But if Ron's little spinny thing can pick up on sneaky stuff, maybe there is some mind reading capabilities, but we haven't seen any of that yet.
What is last one? What is your guys' favorite moment in this chapter or in these chapters? These 3. I'll start. I think for me, I think it was the moment that Harry ended up believing Sirius. I know, my heart. Even just how she writes this, it's so powerful. It's so moving. Believe me, croaked Black. Believe me. I never betrayed James and Lily. I would have died before I betrayed them. And at long last, Harry believed in him. Throat too tight to speak, he nodded.
Yeah.
That is a great moment.
Because he was so against, he wanted to find him and kill him. And he's like, yes, I get to believe what I thought it was true from the photos of my parents.
Yeah, I feel like there was some moment in there. I just can't put my finger on one. But there were just a couple moments in the Shrieking Shack where I felt like Harry, Ron, and Hermione were all together. Because it feels like they've been a little off with Hermione being sketchy this whole semester or year, really. And then the slight awkwardness with Ron and Hermione too. It feels like then in the face of danger, they can unite. So the moment where they did Expelliarmus on Snape felt a bit much because I questioned that. But in that whole environment of like them being willing to die for each other in the shack, something in there, I just can't put my finger on the exact moment.
Great moments, though. Guys, flipping through your books.
Yeah, my brain is shut off, guys.
The Dementor's kiss thing was interesting too, where Harry like, we don't know exactly what happened, but like, I love that it was so extreme of like something bad's gonna happen, and then it literally fulfilled the like, oh no, they're getting saved. Like, I feel like that doesn't happen often in the book, that it's like what you're thinking is gonna happen happens, if that makes any sense. But I'm like, oh yes, like this creature came out of nowhere and saved them.
Yeah. And I heard it once too that I mean, this is true of so many different stories. Like at the moment when everything seems to be the best is when things just get terrible and get the worst. If any of you watched Game of Thrones, any of you seen that?
Yes.
With the Red Wedding.
Ooh.
Remember that episode? Do you know that one?
Well, I didn't watch the show. I watched like part of it, but I read the books.
Oh,
it was a while ago.
I don't remember the character names that well because I only watched it once and I binge watched it.
For the sake of spoilers, I won't say any character names. But a favorite character goes down.
It's when like they're winning this war.
Oh gosh, yes.
And devastating, and then everything goes wrong.
Yeah,
it's like that.
To the throne.
This is the same thing like Harry Potter. Like Harry's gonna get out of the Dursley situation. You're like, everything is just turned for Harry. This is so great. I cannot wait to read the next book. And then everything goes to crap.
Yep.
And it's so well written. Oh, it's so good. These chapters are such good storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good. I love getting answers. That was my favorite.
Yeah. And this was another perfect example of where you said you'd wish the books were longer, and that happened here, where I'm like, oh yeah, we got more chapters.
Yeah.
Because like it kept feeling like it was almost wrapping up. Like this book was going to be 4 chapters shorter. And then I was like, oh no, we're going to spend 3 chapters in the Shrieking Shack. And I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
And then even after that, I'm like, oh, 2 more chapters?
Yeah.
Nice. Some more things are going to happen. So I just kept wanting it to be longer and longer. It was great.
What these books do.
Next book's long.
Mm-hmm. Next 2 books are the 2 longest in the series.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't 5 the longest?
5's the longest. 4 is the second longest, I think.
Yeah.
And our pacing is like shifted a little because now we're doing like 3 or 4 chapters per podcast because they're so meaty.
They are.
It's
so
great.
Good though.
Well, thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
I hope there are some other first-time readers that are doing this with us.
I know. I think there
as
are.
much as I love all the consistent,
Yeah.
like, real fans who are doing it like a million times, once a year, blah, blah, blah.
You heard it from Danny. Let us know if you're a first-time reader. If you are reading this book for the first time, that would be so much fun if you're following along with the podcast. r/first-time readers is our subreddit. Go on there. Lots of information. Also, rate us and review us 5 stars.